Are we supposed to be with just one person forever and ever and ever? Can we actually love more than one person at the same time? Wait, can we carry on healthy relationships with one or more partner at the same time? What's open relationships and how does it work? Who's happier, a monogamous couple or poly? So many questions, so much to uncover in this new world. Is it a trend or your last resort to save your marriage? This and so much more we cover. Listen to a man's perspective and a woman's on the same subject. Do they have the same experience, same perspective? And what does intimacy have anything to do with open relationships? Come with me on this scenic ride on the healing train. I'm Rania, your host, relationship coach, speaker, author, practicing energy healing modalities. I bring to you these discussions so we can heal, become empowered, and grow together. This content contains mature subject matters. Listener and viewer discretion is advised. To work with me, you can find me on www.r2rcoaching.ca. Want to be a guest on the show? Send an email to guest@healingtrain.ca. Welcome to another episode on the Healing Train podcast. In this very special series, we are talking about sex. But not only we're talking about sex, we're talking about different types of relationships and everything that can be as part of that dynamic. And today I have a very special guest. We've met years back and just social media kept us in touch. And here we are. Jenna, welcome to the show.
Hello.
I'm very excited for us to have this conversation. Now, this particular topic we're going to be talking with Jenna today, it needed to have two perspectives, a male one and a female. I've already recorded the male perspective, and now I'm going to be having pretty much similar discussion with Jenna. It may end up being the same questions that we spoke with our male perspective, and it may not. But let's go with the flow. Before we start, Jenna, can you please introduce yourself, who you are, what you do?
Sure. Yeah. So I'm Jenna Smith. I work with high achiever types as a psychotherapy informed coach, and I help the ones who hold it all together for everyone else to tune back to who they really are and create a life of success and fulfillment from there versus performing and getting it right and busyness and all the things that you guys know.
So, Jenna, with your background, how would this relate to this topic we're going to be talking about? Is there any relation whatsoever? And just to mention here, we're going to be talking about the open relationship dynamic, monogamy, polyamorous, and all that lovely stuff. Is there any connection?
Absolutely. People are behind the scenes curious. And when I opened up my own dating stories more and more, people were just like, can we talk about this more? Or people that were post-divorce were like, oh my gosh, that gives me a new perspective that I never thought of before. And I've lovingly called it creative dating, where I create it based on who I am, not the metrics of what dating has been told to be or the trajectory of like trying to find someone to get married to and live together and make sure all the things line up. Like I blew it all up and started fresh.
I love that. So, you know what? Let's go right into it,
All
okay?
right.
Are we built for one partner, Jenna? Do you think?
Um, I do think, I believe like Esther Perel's like we're monogamous one at a time. Like, I've had a deeply fulfilling, I'm like a real loyal person. Like when I'm locked in, I am locked in. And so I know what that's like. But then if it doesn't go well and you're growing apart, unfortunately, we think longevity equals success in relationships. And that's the part that I think needs looking at.
Mm, mm. Well, what I'm wondering is that why people end up in such a thing called open relationships. And that's the discussion that I'd like us to open today. What is it all about, this open relationship thing that people now are starting to perhaps use as a trend. I don't know if trend is the right word, but you can let me know what you think.
Yeah, it's growing in popularity and it's loosening its taboo a little bit. Like it's still really behind closed doors. Like, but so the phenomenon of open relationships, like I can't speak to the history of it, but I know my friends, I have a lot of really sexually romantically open friends. And so I've seen it all through them. And then some things I wanted to do, some things I didn't. But the idea of, okay, well, they're in a marriage, and in most of the cases, it's like they're roommates. They can't afford to live apart, or they're still working on their relationship and they want to experience something different that the other person can't give them. And I think I've only met the white whale of like actually like a healthy relationship that is doing open well, where they're enhancing their intimacy through open relationship, which would be more sort of a polyamory thing. So open is just to date outside of your relationship. Polyamory would be like the phenomenon of being in loving relationships with multiple people and having that navigated. So this was like when I first started dating, this was a lot of Googling, a lot of acronyms in this world, a lot of 3 letters. I had no idea what they meant, but everyone else did. And so it is like a subculture for sure that needs research. And I can't even remember it all. I just remember the beginning being like, what does this mean? What is that? Kitchen table polyamory, or this one or that? And there's books and there's a lot of information out there, but ultimately it's become a thing because people are seeking fulfillment in the romantic life, and they're no longer willing to be just monogamous and suffering silently. So they're starting to talk about it more and starting to be more open. I mean, that's all I can say. I'm from the solo partner position where I'm dating people in open relationships and navigating from that perspective, which is very different than if I was partnered, which I have done that, being with somebody and then being open to open relationship, but it requires a tremendous amount of self-awareness, emotional maturity, and communication skills that people don't have, mostly.
2 things come to mind from what you just said, so hopefully I remember them, because I'm going to start with the first one is from a female perspective, because I've had this conversation from a male perspective. I want to talk about the emotions that are involved when 2 people are in a marriage or a relationship of some sort, and they open it up, and then they end up being involved with someone else willingly, it's
Yeah,
agreed upon,
all
consented.
consent. Hmm.
So what happens with the emotions now? It gets complicated, doesn't it?
Yes. It can. It wasn't for me in the beginning as I was solo dating, because I was dating interesting people we were, on my part, I was having clear communication, clear boundaries, asking about what's happening on their side, making sure they weren't cheating, making sure, because I was very clear about that. I'm not interested in lying. I'm not interested in someone else being hurt in this equation, like ever. And so, and the men and women are going to have emotional experiences with that. And I think there's a lot of misunderstanding that the men have emotions about it too. They just don't talk about it as much. So there's a lot of emotions involved. And if those things that I just mentioned, communication, self-awareness, emotion, ability to know, am I feeling this or am I feeling that? Like the stuff I teach my clients, like how to feel feelings and manage your mind, then it can, what I lovingly call a dumpster fire rummage sale. Like that's essentially what I've seen a lot of open relationships on the apps be. It's like everything's burning to the ground, but we're going to date other people to help keep the marriage together. And I'm like,
Hmm. And that was
okay.
going to be my next point is this open relationship dynamic. Is it more the couple who are married that are inclined to
Yeah.
pursue this open relationship?
Yeah.
So 2 people that have been dating for, I don't know, 10 years, cohabiting. It's almost kind of like a marriage, but they haven't, they don't have kids, they're just together, right?
Hmm.
Would they do it or they just break up?
Oh, I don't know. You'd have to ask them. That I do not
Yeah. Well,
know.
see, there are no statistics, right? So I mean, there might be
I don't
statistics,
know.
but I probably haven't found it.
They
I'm
might
just
just break up.
wondering.
It's usually kids, it's usually a life that society told people they need to live and they need to keep up the optics.
Mm.
That's the biggest part. It's like make everyone think everything's okay, but we'll
But
figure stuff out behind doors.
do you think that this is kind of delaying the inevitable as their marriage is falling apart and they're trying to find a lifeline to hold on to it, and that's one of them to try this open relationship thing and see if maybe they'll realize, hey, I actually do love you and I want us to work because I've tried it with other people, and hey, it looks like the grass is not greener on the other side.
Yeah, that could happen. I have seen most people divorce. And interestingly enough, the men I dated, the women initiated the open relationship. And I think that's why it worked for me with more harmony. Because the one time I dated someone where he was the initiator, I'm super empathic and psychic-ish. So I could feel she was not happy. I could feel that this person is being hurt by this, even if he has permission. And again, my own ethics on it, like ethical non-monogamy, is that doesn't work for my value system. So with the females initiating, I think that usually means like there's something not working that they need to figure out their own sense of fulfillment, and they think someone out there will fulfill it.
Mm.
That's my assumption, because I also work with people deep down and under the hood and behind, like looking in the closets and under the hood, right? Like I'm seeing people, and I know most people think I'll feel good when this over there is this way. Maybe it's the relationship, maybe it's the job. And so I think that's how it manifests in relationships. Specifically, I think for women that don't do the self-work. And maybe they're doing some beginnings of self-work, but they're still like, I can't be me with you. They haven't figured out how to do that. And as a couple, and this isn't any finger pointing, these are just sort of compassionate, like observations, that a lot of people are suffering without the right tools and without the right skills and with no one else talking about it for them to be like, what do I do? I just have to keep looking like everything's okay. So I don't know. I think it's a way out, but they don't want to call it yet, or they don't want to hurt someone. That's really complicated. I think a slow burn out is normally how people, like usually people decide 3 to 4 years before they divorce. And there's this like series of things happening. And I work with anyone before pre-divorce, after divorce. So I see it in my dating life and then I see it in my client life. So it's interesting, the perspectives, and they both inform one another.
I feel like I want to use a very weird term here, but it's the slow death of the marriage.
Yeah, it's just there's a thing that's eating away.
Yeah.
That's the metaphor. And the solution, I have noticed as I've been dating, the perspectives you get from new people, both of seeing myself through someone else's eyes that are new, to be very valuable and interesting. I don't date to be liked or not rejected. I date to have experiences, right? So to have like a really stable sense of self, I don't think people date that way either. I think they're dating to like get the dopamine hit and like someone likes me and someone thinks I'm desirable, and like that's, or they've been married for 20 years and they don't even know what it's like to date anymore. How to like hold their own and like ask questions. They're just like thrown into this teenager 20s psyche again, not an adult driving their adult life. They're like teenagers dating. So there's a lot. There's a lot going on.
Yes, I can definitely feel that way. But what I'm
Yeah.
wondering here is that what would someone in a polyamorous kind of dynamic
Mhm.
gain?
It, like the potential of it with people that are communicating really well is that the one partner doesn't have to meet all your needs. And the awareness that I have to meet all your needs, that can be okay.
A lot
I
of
remember
pressure.
I remember saying this to a guy I was dating. We were both solo dating, both solo poly dating. And he's like, I want to do this and this. I'm like, cool, find someone to do that with. Like, I don't want to. Like, I don't want to do that thing. And I'm not your girlfriend in that way. So I don't have to. Like, we do this. And it's not, that sounds super controlling and stuff, but I'm like, I know how I want to relate and how I want to express our relationship together, co-creating again, creative relationships on my part, transparent communication. I don't want to like, and and it depends on my level of love in the relationship, because if you've up to the ranks with me in terms of like emotional significance, I will then make those concessions. But there's certain levels of intimacy that would have to be achieved. So if we're just dating, I'm not going to bend over backwards and do things I don't want to do and be the girlfriend you need me to be. I'm going to be me and you're going to be you. And so to me, that was kind of cool too, to just the freedom of like, I don't have to do the things I don't want to do. I don't have to go to the ball game with you. I don't want to. I don't want to. But sometimes you love someone so much, you'll do anything with them. And that's a completely different relationship status for me.
But that's the thing, Jenna. This is where the discrepancy is, and I'd like to point that out, is why do we find it easier when we're in a polyamorous kind of dynamic to say no to something, to know that, hey, I have an option. But when we are in a monogamous relationship, something happens to our psyche, to our brain. It's like as if we're programmed that we have to adapt, we have to say yes, we have to sacrifice our own needs. We have to do things we don't really want to do, but we do it for our partner because that's what love is. So it's the mentality, the thought process, the belief system, whatever you want to label it as. This is what relationships are like today. And I'm wondering if exploring the polyamorous dynamic allows you the chance to realize that perhaps you can be the same in a monogamous relationship. What do you think about that?
I think it should be that way. I think love isn't losing yourself. I think love is wanting the best for that person. And if it's done right, they want the best for you. They're not going to let you abandon yourself either. And I've been in a relationship like that. Hey, you said you wanted to do this, like they help me show up for me. They won't let me abandon myself. And that to me is love. And I had that relationship in my 20s. And then I was like, what the F? After, like, what is this? What? I thought all the relationships were that this is it. But it was this real magical unicorn anomaly of an extremely mature and emotionally healthy, secure relationship. So I know it's possible. Love shouldn't be losing yourself, but to answer your question, our bond, our desire to be together is one thing. Our human need to not be abandoned is survival based. So we can get hijacked by stress hormones and fear, which will make us perform and adapt and manipulate ourselves to fit in like square peg round hole. Don't be abandoned. On a physiological level, that means death. You'll freeze, you'll be eaten by predators, you'll get lost and break your leg. On a very physiological primal level, that's why the work I do with my clients is to elevate out of fear, how to resource beyond fear. So you have for your frontal lobe, you have the present moment. You're not getting hijacked by essentially mirages of fear that anxiety creates, scenarios that aren't even real, which I call self-scaring. Like people scare themselves with scenarios that aren't even real. That is the problem. That is what will make, that isn't love though. Right? And so that's a self-relationship thing, because what I learned in the relationship of my 20s is that the void I have in myself is my own. The wound you poke is mine. You could never love me enough to fill this wound. It's my wound. And if we don't take the time to work on our wounds, and I don't mean excavating and crying all the time and spending your entire life healing. I don't subscribe to that philosophy. I think everything you need will arise and arrive, and romantic relationships are one of the biggest opportunities to see your void, your holes, what needs attention, what needs tending to for you. And then you can meet a partner to match.
What you are saying is perfect because you've done the work on you, and this is your
Yeah,
line of work, and I'm familiar with it. But many people out there, Jenna, they haven't done the work. They're actually walking around unhealed, going into maybe from one relationship to the next, unhealed, carrying that baggage, projecting and doing all the lovely stuff
clothing.
that,
Yep.
right? I think it all begins, I mean, this is bigger than both of us, but hey, we can always say what we want. It starts from education. It starts
Absolutely.
from educating from when you're young, like as young as you could possibly be, to explain and to just show the right, I mean, there is no right or wrong way in
To
anything, for
show
sure.
human possibility
Yes.
of whole love, not like it's I'll do this for you, you do this for me is very healthy.
Transaction. It's a
But
transaction.
those are transactions. So I'll do this for you because I love you. I'm giving from my overflow. I see you more than you can see yourself when you're having a bad day. Like that to me is like the good stuff. And in these people that try to keep it together for the kids, again, as a human being specialist, you want those kids to see you be a self-empowered human, or they're going to find someone who treats you like that or them like they're treating you. And you have to think about, do I want my kids to be in this relationship? Is this the dream I have of love and partnership for them? Because the like keeping it together, that's going to imprint into their little nervous systems no matter what you say and how many smiles and how many Christmas cards get sent out. That's the stuff that stays. And then they're going to have to come see someone like me later, like if they want to repattern it, because it's a deep transformation. It's education, but then transformation. So you become the person with the new reality, not just duct taping symptoms.
There are two words that come to mind with a dynamic where someone wants to explore other relationships and the other person doesn't in the relationship. One is coming from a place of lack of self-worth,
Mm-hmm.
and the other one, I mean, that's my opinion, I'm just sharing. And the other one comes from a place of entitlement. And okay, let me put some context to this because I'm looks like I'm talking in code. So, in my very first marriage, of course, the last, right? So I felt, okay, well, not a felt, it was a fact. I was cheated on. Okay, let's put it put it out there. And when I confronted my ex, he said to me, I'm not supposed to be with just one woman, Rania. If you were to just accept that I'm gonna go and be with other women, but I'll come home to you, then everything was gonna be fine. Imagine, I was very young at that time, very, very young. Didn't know anything. And I knew it didn't sound right. Like what? Like no, that doesn't sound right. I stayed in it for a little bit longer than that, but I knew it wasn't right. So it was eating me alive. But at some point I did walk away because something in me knew that no, I deserve better than this. It was a really more complicated situation than that. There was more to it, but I'm just bringing that to light where there are some men out there, and I'm not saying I'm blaming every man out there, okay? Please. It's just
No.
there are some men out there who feel entitled that it's okay for them to go and do this, and they don't call it cheating at all. They just believe that they have the right, and that's where the entitlement perspective comes in. And then if you want to put me in that scenario, there was a bit of lack of self-worth there, and that's why I stayed a little longer than I should have. I should have walked away the moment he said that.
I hear you, and I think that's a very unrealistic expectation on your young self to one digest that this person became committed to a monogamous relationship. That's the ludicrous part. Like Don't be in a monogamous relationship. Don't do the like, what are you doing? Don't expect someone else to suddenly, within the contract of marriage, change the story. That's a lot for someone to try to digest within being in the relationship. So,
Because some people want to have their cake and eat it too, Jenna.
and that's not
my
okay.
ex is not the only one on the face of this
No.
planet that did that. There are
Well,
lots out there doing this.
and that is selfishness. That is absolutely self-absorbed. You know, people like to throw around a lot of terms these days, and I just won't even say the N word of narcissism anyway. But like, you know, like it's
Yes,
like,
please, thank you. That is my favorite topic.
I know, like it's, but they throw it around a lot. And like, if I can just dial it into anything, entitlement, selfishness, I'm gonna make up my own rules. That's not open relationship. That's consensual cheating. It's if you're silent about it or whatever. And I see this with women too, with the men that I've been dating. They do it too. It's just little, it's less frequent. The entitlement is a little less, I think, because of the patriarchal society, but it's there.
Are you enjoying your journey on the healing train? I hope you are, just as much as I am loving this conversation and every conversation with every guest. We are talking about sex, relationships, becoming empowered, and yes, healing too. We need to heal the old narrative around our relationship with sex, pleasure, and our bodies. A lot of work goes into these episodes, and I would love for more people to find this. If you felt how powerful my message is, support this channel, this platform, wherever you are tuning from. Give some love, comment, and share it. It only takes a few seconds to help this show and help me reach more people. Thank
you. That is clearly not okay. And to be in that situation where you're now in this contract, in this, you have your own integrity, you have your own values about commitment that you have, that's really hard to untangle. And I would say, sure, self-worth, but also a lot of other factors that you have to crawl out of to see clearly.
Yes, but there are a lot of Ranias out there.
Exactly. So that case where someone is imposing the open relationship on you, I call that consensual cheating. I don't call that an open relationship. And I've had to tell people this. I'm like, hey, the thing you're in, by the way, it's supposed to be like a mutually understood, agreed upon relationship style. Like people will, I've talked to people where they're like, oh, I identify as polyamorous. Okay, well then find other polyamorous people, like be in consent in the beginning. I had the exact same scenario with a guy that wanted to date me. He's like, well, I know that I can't stay loyal. I have to be with other women. And I'm like, okay. And then I get to decide if I want to, right? He's told me.
Communication part that you were talking about earlier. Yeah.
Yes, before we even start dating. And if I didn't have enough self-esteem to know that actually I don't want that, that would be on me. You know, it's not about that, but like we all have self-worth issues. We're in a society that profits from our lack of self-worth. So trying to navigate in this toxic society of like, do the thing, get the thing, look good, make sure people think you look good, then you're winning, but you feel deeply unfulfilled inside. It's really hard. And it's really hard to not believe, like, you know, I grew up in the 90s, the romantic comedies and the love songs and the hair band ballads of like love. And if he and I'll die without you. And that's all addiction. Like, that's not love. That's like, don't die without me. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, live with me, live better with me. Like, we need to change the narrative about love in general. I think the opportunity of open relationship and polyamory for the right people that can communicate. And even then though, I talked to you about this, a lot of, what's it called? I can't remember. Like, there's so many terms in psychotherapy. The attachment style. What is the one? The not anxious attachment, the avoidant attachments.
Avoidant.
Oh, polyamory and open relationship is such a fun place for them to stay in the fog, lacking self-awareness, that if I just hop to the next relationship, is as soon as it gets, oh, this is really intense. Oh my God, this is creating anxiety in me. Oh, instead of looking at it, I'm just going to get another girlfriend. So I also call BS on that. Like there's just a lot going on in all of the arenas. And like in every arena I've been in, there's the good ones, meaning the good ones, not everyone's bad. Ones I can relate with that are coming from a whole place, that have looked at themselves, that are willing to be humble and willing to not know. Honestly, not knowing is such a beautiful, curious place. Like just not know. Don't tell me you know and you don't know. I'm a polyamorous and this is how I identify. It's like, no, you're avoidant. I see it. But I'm also not here to fix you. So in a relationship, hire me, maybe, but in a relationship, I'm not your mom, I'm not your coach, I'm not your teacher. Like I will pour all of me into you and you'll get all of that, but that's not my role. It's also not fun.
I know. I've been there. I've been the mom, I've been the therapist.
No, I don't want to. You do
And
you.
now I'm like, no more. I'm done
No,
with this.
you do your work, and it could look differently. It doesn't have to look the way I do it. It doesn't have to sound the way I do it, as long as you're doing it. My ex in my 20s was read philosophy, read classic literature, prolifically, and it tuned him to a state of values and morals that he wasn't going to therapy. It just created him to be the man he was, and these were choices he made, and these were things that crafted him into the person he was, so that I came at it with a completely different lens, but we matched in we're both doing our work. It just looked different.
Well, it sounds to me that those who are using polyamory to save a marriage or to delay the inevitable or just to try something new because they're bored is not the right way to go. If that's what you're choosing, it needs to come from a conscious place where you've done inner work and healing and you know why you're doing it. And it's not about being right or wrong. Again, we're not here to judge
No.
anyone's decision of their choice of how they want to be in a relationship, whatever dynamic they create. But as long as there's communication, as long as there's consent, as long as their intentions are clear from the very beginning and everyone is on the same page. And if one is seeing that something isn't right, they need to speak up. They need to set the boundary. They need to say it's not okay with me, and no matter what the consequences may be. But I do want to bring something up here, Jenna, the sex part. Let's talk about the sex part because we haven't touched on that yet. We've been talking about the deep stuff, the relationship, the emotions, and we're deep people, so we're going to talk about that. But I want us to talk about why is it so exciting to have sex with different people? And I don't want to use the word at the same time because we're not talking about an OG here. We're just talking about like
Not at the same
partners.
time.
Talking about having different
Depends on what they're doing.
So one day you're with this one and one day you're with the next one, and and it's just there's excitement. Now, again, I want to ask you from a female perspective. And you're not a typical female, by the way. You're very like, there are certain female perspective where it's going to be like the victim one. You're not. You're a very strong, healed, or at least working on healing yourself, doing the work. So you're very confident. So I'm talking to you from that lens. A woman that's done the work. Is there really some excitement, like extra excitement from being with more than one partner?
Here's why I love this question, because the assumption is that there would be. And it isn't always necessarily true. That was a lot of words to say. It's not necessarily true. It can be, like, for me, it's fun. And I also have a very refined yet easy filtering system. So like when I'm starting to engage with somebody, first of all, my profile is extremely clear. And I test them if they've read it in the first couple of messages. And if they haven't, I just don't even reply. I don't owe you anything. And I'll ask them, like, if it's just a lover, if I'm just looking for like a part-time lover person, there has to be certain requirements on like how they show up, how they enjoy sex, how they show up as a lover, and how they see sex will tell me that answer. So I'll like ask them, what are your favorite things about sex? And in those three answers, I can see a lot. And then there's a lot of ways to tell if someone's a selfish person. or if they have this healthy masculine of like, your needs and your turn on is my turn on. Those are the only ones that get access to me. So the first thing would be, if you're just willy-nilly dating, you're going to meet men that haven't explored their own sexuality, that haven't explored female sexuality. I have had to teach a lot of guys things, like, and just be like, hey, did you know that there's levels of arousal, and like you're trying to do 3 and 4 and I'm at -2? Like, and because I'm a good teacher, I can like explain it with metaphors, and they're like, oh, I didn't know that. And if it's the right kind of person, they're like, cool, neat, you know? But so from a sexual perspective, to go back to your question, it could be disappointing, it could be boring, it could be, I've had a lot of fun with a lot of people, and it has been interesting and exciting, but it could also be a lot of other things. So I think this like romanticized fantasy, it might not be great. Like, I had like really mediocre sex with somebody just recently, and I was like, I forgot this existed. Like, and I'm just like not that invested in this relationship that I'm gonna like work on it. I think if you're a monogamously tuned person, you need to take all of that interest and start exploring it with your actual partner. Like, what's your erotic blueprint, which is like Miss Jaya's basically love languages for sex. How do you want to be touched? Do you know how to have an orgasm on your own? Like, so from a female perspective, if a woman is like, oh, he's going to do this for me, well, listen, if you don't know your body, and you don't know how to receive, and you don't know how to turn off your mind, you don't know how to get into your body and feel senses, it's just going to be like going to the movies. Like, to me, sometimes I'm like, it's fun cardio. Like, I don't mean to be too like, not seeing sex is important, because you also have to be like safe, and I'm really big on sexual health, and I have those conversations right up front, and I do my own thing. So like, there's also that conversation, because that freaked me out for a while. I was like, the risk doesn't equal the reward, no way, la la la. But then I learned how to have the right conversations and how to screen people and do my own things. But it's not always going to be hotter, it'll just be different. And I think, honestly, I've had the hottest sex with people that I'm with longer, because we can go deeper. We understand each other's bodies more. We can trust more. To me, when I finally had on my profile, was like, I'm looking for someone to go deeper with, because there's more pleasure there. So I know that's probably not the most common answer, but to me, which is, I'm the one talking about it, that has been, there's been sometimes that I've been like pleasantly surprised, but like, you don't know you're going to get that. Like, so when you're building something with someone you're actually compatible with and you're building trust with, there's a lot more opportunity there for extreme pleasure versus like Russian roulette, like not knowing.
Well, what I want us to conclude with, Jenna, here is that we're not really evolving past monogamy, even if all these open relationships and dynamics and whatever's available right now, and we have the freedom to do things now than years back, obviously, right? Like, we're in a different era right now, so we're able to explore this. Sex is being talked about more openly and freely now than ever before, right? It's everywhere. It's around you. Kids even know what learn sex, which is too early for them. But
That's a
anyways,
whole other conversation, because just because you're doing something kinky doesn't mean it's hot and pleasurable. Like, you can do some backflip thing, but like, anyway, that's another conversation.
no, but you're right. You're right. And also, what I want to have people understand is, if it's a little bit boring in the bedroom with your partner that you've been with for a long time, the solution may not be to open it up
Not right
and to,
away.
sorry?
Not right away. Like, sorry to talk over you, but like, date the person. Go like do role playing. Like, like, people need to start pouring into, instead of looking over there or out there, and maybe this guy's hot. Like, people are putting way too much stock in something that's over there if they haven't tried it with their partner first.
Which is what I said earlier, in a way, the grass is not always greener on the other side, right?
Just
It's just that
different.
you haven't explored everything yet with your partner together. And maybe there is more to be said about your relationship, the communication, the you doing the inner work on yourself to know who you are and how you like to be touched. And maybe that will get boring out. And maybe that's all there is to it. It's just about talking to each other and reconnecting and finding that intimacy, right?
Fun. Stop being so serious, everybody. Jeepers. Like, I would say the other thing would be when you're on a first date, there's a lot of novelty. And so you're going to not bring all your bags. Like when I went to Europe, I had 2 suitcases, right? I'm just like, this is a very clutter-free Airbnb happening right now. So you're not bringing all your bags like you would. And the monotony of monogamy is mostly your relationship to relationship, not monogamy. Like, to me, every day I'm so many different Jennas. Like, I'm so many different Jennas than 2 weeks ago. And I want to share that with somebody and be like, oh my God, look at the Jenna I am right now. And they'll be like, yeah, like that could be fun. And people are being way too serious. And sex should be fun. Like, there's just a lot to be said. And if you want to open your marriage, like, hire someone who knows how to do it, do the work, start 6 months before on like preparing for it. Like, don't just join an app and see how it goes. Like, you can do whatever you want, because I'm not your mom, as I've said, I don't want to do that, but it's not going to solve what you think it's going to solve. And the consequences are going to be there, just different consequences.
One thing I asked from the male perspective is that can you give it a try and then go back? And I got an answer for that one, and I want to hear your answer.
I think it depends on the person, but I think for the majority of the people, that could create a rupture that would be really hard to reverse. That's my perspective on like the general public. Like, I think if someone was like, yeah, I'm just going to go on this date, like, I don't know what I don't know that might cross a boundary for me emotionally, that I'm now like, I see you completely differently. And I don't know what I don't know. So that's the risk might be way higher than the reward. And you might not be able to patch it back up. Or in, I think, very small amount of times, again, the person can see what they need to see. And if you're in a really solid, secure relationship, that partner could be like, how is the movie? Like, how is it? Like, they could be just so emotionally clear because they're like, my worth doesn't depend on you. My worth is mine. How was it? Okay, now do we want to do this? Because this is the relationship I want. I think that would be a very small percentage of relationships.
Unfortunately, Jenna, I agree with you. It is a small percentage of people, of relationships. But this is why we're having these conversations. Like, that's why I'm doing this podcast. One of the reasons, anyway, is to raise awareness, is to have these conversations on the table and to discuss them, and to have people also see a different perspective from what they've always known. Maybe it's not going to land with them. Maybe they're going to think these two girls are crazy talking about that stuff. What are they talking about? But these are things that are happening right now, right? We are talking about real life things. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm good with everything I wanted to discuss. Do you want to leave us with some final words? Anything you want to share?
What I was just thinking about was someone who's dating right now, because someone could say, well, what's the difference between just normal dating multiple people? And it's like, well, it's the, hey, I am dating multiple people and I am in this type of relationship and all that kind of thing. Like, it could be misunderstood. But for a lot of women in particular that I've said, I create co-creative relationships. We both decide what we're creating. And it can evolve, and I stay curious, and most people don't know that's possible, but it's up to you to create it. It's up to you to participate in your life and how you want to experience it. So I just want to offer that up, is that go to sex workshops, learn about your body, explore the erotic blueprints. Like, don't expect it to come from some magical guy that you're dating. Like, date yourself in that way. Both sexes, figure yourself out, and then share it with other people, and like, be much more lighter about it, and don't think your self-worth depends on the partner. It should be in a a happy relationship and a healthy relationship, you should enhance one another with each other's presence. And I know that's a big thing to say, but that's what I'm up to. That's the only game I'm playing. I'm like, yeah. So that's what I want to leave it with. Like, it can be fun. I didn't even know I'd get into this because I'm a very loyal, monogamous, partnered person, but I wasn't meeting someone who was like the one. So I changed my metrics to be companionship and fun and self growth. And so other people might want to do that too.
And you know when to get in and when to get out.
Exactly. Right now, I'm not dating. I deleted the apps. I'm like, also, there's phases and seasons and reasons, and you get to decide. Someone can say, "Oh, are you dating open?" I'm like, not really anymore. Not really anymore. I've just seen too much where I'm like, like, I'm not going to say never, but it's
But
like,
you said something at the beginning, which is that you're after the experience. And aren't we all after the experience?
hmm yeah. And the
And
experience can change.
and lessons we learn along the way. We won't know what works for us until sometimes we try what doesn't. Then you know you don't want that, right? You with love, right? It's not all joy and happiness. There's also the pain and the suffering a little bit. But you got to know when it's too much, right?
Yeah.
And know what's right for you. And
Yeah.
everyone will decide for themselves.
And when something falls in your lap from left field too, because you're actually in the game, you're not just sitting around waiting. Like for 7 years, I was single and I didn't have sex with anybody. I was just like, I'm not interested. And so there's seasons in your life, but sometimes things can come from left field that you would never expect because you're out there and you're doing things. So I have experienced that too. I'm like, oh, interesting. So, yeah.
One thing I want to add as well, that just came to my mind right now is if your sexual connection or your sexual experience with someone in the very beginning stages of dating isn't satisfying you, it's highly likely it will continue that way. But what we end up doing, most of us, men or women, we think that with time it's going to get better. But some things just don't get better with time. If the sexual chemistry isn't there, or if there are other factors involved in the situation and you're not feeling satisfied, I would say that's definitely a compatibility issue. It's not the only one, and it shouldn't be the main one. But having said that, it is a major part of the success of the relationship. So if you can step out of whatever this is, get out of it, because it most likely will be one of the reasons you break up down the road anyway. So again, you're delaying the inevitable. And another point on that is just compatibility in general. Don't wait to get to the point to try to find a fix to a relationship, to a dynamic, when you got in with someone that was never right for you to begin with. When you went in with the wrong intentions, when you lied, when you pretended to be someone you're not, when you told the person everything they wanted to hear just so you could have them, so they could be with you. And then in the end, it's gonna blow up in your face anyway. So why do that to yourself and to them? That's my little 2 cents here. I don't know if you want to add something to that, Jenna.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't be someone else and expect people to love and accept you and to what's the word, pleasure you. Like the sex is a report card of your connection with the person as well, and your ability to communicate in the bedroom. Like, I think it's so weird that people don't talk about sex. I'm like, what do you like? What do you want to do? What are you in the mood for? And they're like, look at me like I'm like crazy, and or just they're just surprised by the question. And I'm like, I don't want to just flop around like fish out of water. Like, what are we doing? Like, what do you want to do? Let's debrief. What did you like? What did you not like? So the everything you said is accurate in like the traditional average dating world, but you should never perform to try to get someone to like you. And if you are dating that way, you need to stop dating for a bit and figure yourself out. And also then start dating again and use dating as a way to get to know yourself. And then if you're not a match, so I'll just give you guys this script, we're not a match. nice to meet you, happy dating. I don't ghost people. Well, sometimes in the beginning, if there's not enough, like we just won't talk and it's fine. But I usually won't ghost people. I usually just say, hey, nice to meet you. We're not a match. You don't owe anybody anything, and they don't owe you anything. You're just two people getting to know each other.
Jenna, this conversation is so lovely, and we definitely didn't cover all the points I covered in my other. But we did touch on some points. But I knew that this was a possibility where we would not have the exact same conversation because the flow is different. So I'm totally happy with what we've discussed. Thank you for being on the show. Thank you for being open to talk about your experience and share with us. But before we do end this, I do want you to just share with the audience how they can get in touch with you if they wanted to work with you.
Absolutely. Yeah. So right now, jennasmithcoaching.com is my website, and all of the links you need are there. I'm on Instagram as well, but you can find everything you need at jennasmithcoaching.com.
Perfect. Thank you, Jenna, for being on the show.